What's going on YouTube? Cloverbuzz here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to do a little bit of regulation F team building, and I'm going to do one that was widely requested throughout our channel, and that is going to be the Archaludon. So I am going to refrain a little bit from just building with the Paradox Pokemon as of this moment, just because we don't have the official list, so we don't actually know if it's legal. So I'm gonna step away and not use those for the time being, but we can use Archaludon. And I do know for a fact that, okay, I don't know for a fact, but I can almost say with 100% certainty that the DLC mods will be legal, right? So stuff like Incineroar, Whimsicott, Metagross, these are all Pokemon that we know are gonna be legal. So let's go ahead and start things off with Archaludon. So basically, Steel Dragon, kind of like Dialga, right? The same typing. And look at these stats: 130 defense, 125 special attack. So it's a nice, strong special attacker. The special defense is all a little bit lacking, of course, and the speed is not too bad. And what we're getting at here is that we have a bulky special attacking Pokemon that can do good damage and great physical bulk, which is good because, again, we do have a relatively physical meta, so any kind of special attack damage that we can get is going to be very much appreciated. So some of the things you have to watch out for is, of course, stuff like Urshifu, the fighting move, of course, Chien-Pao, Sacred Sword, that kind of thing, and also like Landorus or even Landorus Incarnate. The ground moves that you are weak against. But again, you have answers with the rest of the team. And I'm just going to stick with things that are just like relatively safe, solid, and consistent in the time being. So you're going to see a very, very familiar core that we're going to use to surround the Archaludon. But the whole idea is that when you have this move called Electro Shot, okay, it has strong benefits in rain. So you could either do two things with this. Either you go something with like a Pelipper, or you can do something with like Rain Dance Tornadus, right? And I think these are the best. All right, I don't know if they're like the best, but they're like the most easiest, solid ways to start off in terms of trying to utilize something around the Archaludon, right? Because, you might as well, because look, Electro Shot, 130, no drawback except for the fact that you need rain, so that you don't have to charge this move, okay? And then Stamina is a really, really good ability because, again, you're getting a defense boost every time you're hit by something physical, or not even physical, just by a move in general. So it's going to help in the grand scheme of things, which is why I do like this Assault Vest body press set. And then from here, I do like, just straight up Flash Cannon and then Draco Meteor. And you might opt for going for like Dragon Pulse on something like this. But, when you're getting these Electro Shots going, when you're clicking it several times, you can afford to click Draco Meteor because this is going to be a super strong move. And even if you get the special attack drop, like, you're still boosting it again with Electro Shot. So it's totally fine in that sense. And now you have Tailwind and Rain Dance, which is something that Archaludon definitely needs because this speed, right, isn't all that great. You are going to need some speed. And then at the same time, of course, the Rain Dance is going to be benefiting Electro Shot. And then just from here, look, of course, we're going to go with the Urshifu-Rapid Strike. It just makes sense, right? You have Rain Dance, you have Tailwind. Let's go super aggressive. Let's go with the Urshifu. And I think always, in early format, you want to play like super aggressive just so that you can see where some of your attackers stand against some of the more aggressive mons in the format, right? So I think we go something like this. And then, might as well just slap on a Flutter Mane over here, okay? Because, again, you're going to be going against stuff like Raging Bolt, these other dragons, Roaring Moon, for example, or even like an opposing Archaludon. You can still deal very strong damage against these Pokemon with a strong special attacker like Flutter Mane. So it just also makes sense to slap it on here, okay? And then from here, look, the king is back. We might as well throw in the Incineroar, right? Incineroar is great on these Tornadus hyper-aggressive teams. Fake out pressure to help you set up your Tailwind. Pivot move, with Parting Shot or U-turn that you can allow you to reposition the Archaludon alongside the Tornadus to be able to click Rain Dance and the Electro Shot. So very much appreciated here. And then again, now you can either go with something like Rillaboom, or you could even just do something like Amoongus. On the team that I was testing, I was going with Amoongus just so that I had something a little bit better into the Trick Room games, because now that I have a fire type with Fake Out in the Incineroar along with Intimidate, now it's not like super imperative to have Rillaboom. Now I can afford to go with Amoongus. But I will say, and I did say this in our other video that's coming up, I do like the fact that you can do Urshifu, Incineroar, and Rillaboom and just have like double Fake Out pressure, double Pokemon with pivot potential with U-turn or Parting Shot, and then just reposition and get Archaludon and or Flutter Mane and Urshifu the best position possible to be able to sweep the opposing team, right? Because these are your Pokemon that are going to exert a lot of pressure, right? The Archaludon, the Urshifu, and the Flutter Mane. The Incineroar and the Rillaboom and or Amoongus, these are your support Pokemon that are allowed to enable your strong hitters, right? You need to be able to get them in the right spot to be able to do the job that they want to do. All right, but anyway, I did go with Amoongus at that time, and I liked it. I thought it was really, really good. So, you know, and then this Assault Vest set was actually amazing just because I was taking so much physical hits that, like, it was just a little bit more optimal just to be able to click body press in some of those games, right? And then at the same time, you know, if I really needed special attack damage, I was clicking Electro Shots. I was getting boosts, and this thing was sweeping teams. Like, I really like this Pokemon. I think this is one of my... I think I'm going to put this in the top 10. This thing is actually pretty good, but you do need Tornadus or Pelipper in that sense, right? And if you want to try a Pelipper build with this, again, you know, just feel free to, you know, just request it, and we can definitely put it on a Pelipper rain team, but that will do for a tier sub. And again, if you're trying to do Regulation F team building and you need a little bit of help, if you're trying to prepare for Charlotte in January, feel free to sign up for coaching on the channel with that tier 3 sub, where we get to build you a team like this straight, you know, showing you our EV spreads. We get to test the team a little bit and make sure that you get the most optimal team that you need for your tournament or ladder needs. Okay, anyway, this is the 6 that we're going to be going with. We got fake out pressure, we got speed control, we got redirection, we got all the things that we need for a good solid starting Regulation F team, and we got a special attack damage dealers here with Archaludon and Flutter Mane here, and then of course our support Pokemon here with Tornadus is going to be good. And here's our breaker, you know, in the Urshifu, filling in that role. All right, so from here, where do we want to build the rest of the team? So because there's so much Incin running around, I think it just makes sense when I was testing it to just go with the Cobra Cloak and then the Terra Ghost idea, just because, you know, you need to deter it somehow, right? And you need to be able to ensure that you can get up this fake out stuff. So here we go: Tailwind, Rain Dance, Bleak Wind Storm. Okay, and then I do like Taunt just to be able to deny other Trick Room teams for going for their Trick Room for potentially. And if I find out that I have the faster Tornadus, I'm going to taunt you. Okay, so it just makes sense. You have the option here with the Urshifu to go with Scarf, okay, or the Mystic Water. I think both are very, very good items, but on this particular team, I was testing out Mystic Water just to see how strong and how still consistent is the Mystic Water, and it's still pretty good, and I still like it a little bit more than the Choice Scarf just because I have a Tornadus already, so it just makes sense here. But anyway, standard stuff here with Close Combat and Aqua Jet to fill in the rest of that role. Now in terms of like we'll do the Terras at the end, right? But with Flutter Mane here, I do like Booster Energy. I think it's pretty good here. Now you can go Choice Specs here for a little bit more damage, but I do like a speed boosting Flutter Mane in this sense. Now you can go Modest, right? Just because, look, you already got Tailwind. Maybe you might want to go Modest just so that you can get a little bit more damage, right? Now that's fine, but I still think I want to win potential speed wars against other Flutter Manes, other Roaring Moons that are running around that clicking Tailwind and stuff. But again, up to you. But if you want a Modest set, I would do something like this, where you're just going like 36 Modest and investing just enough attack, just enough bulk to be able to live the Chien-Pao stuff, you know, something like this, and then just do something like this, right? This is a very, very standard Modest set. You're gonna get the special attack boost, okay? So you can just do like something like Moonblast, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam, and then Protect. Something like this, okay? Very, very standard Flutter Mane set. Terra Fairy, of course. Okay, but in the build that I was doing a Timid set, so let me just go ahead and change that, and we'll put these to 0 first. Actually, I kept it like this because I still like the Chien-Pao bulk, but we'll get into the EV spreads in a second. Let's just finish out rounding out the team. Incineroar, Flare Blitz, and Fake Out, of course, and then you need a pivot move. I went with Parting Shot, and this is going to be our Citrus Berry Incineroar here. And then at the same time, I went with Knockoff, of course. Very, very standard Incineroar set. I went with Terra Poison, just so that I can resist the fighting stuff from Sacred Sword or Drain Punch from Iron Hands in that regard, or even Close Combat Urshifu is going to be a thing. So I went with Terra Poison Incin. And then the Amoongus, I also went with Terra Water here, you know, Regenerator, Rocky Helmet, you know, just to deal good damage against some of these physical attackers, Rage Powder, Pollen Puff, Spore, and then Protect in this slot, right? Very, very standard Amoongus set. Now, if you are afraid of Dondozo, if we're thinking Dondozo is still going to be like super good then you can obviously go for Clear Smog over here. But I don't know anybody using Dondozo at this given moment, at this given time. So, you know, at the moment that I was testing, I was using Protect, and it was totally fine. All right. As far as like other Terras, so, you know, again, the fighting coverage is deadly. So let's go Terra Ghost here. I decided this. And then the Urshifu here, you know, Terra Water for a little bit more extra damage. Flutter Mane, we already said it was Terra Fairy. Instant was Poison, and the Amoongus is Terra Water here. So this is it. This is the 6. Okay, again, just, you know, defensive Terras are great. And then really mainly the Flutter Mane is the one that was going for like this offensive Terra stuff. All right, but you know, as far as like the Archaludon, just in terms of like what we want from EV spreads, just something that's relatively standard. Let's go here with Modest. I think Modest is the way to go. Let's go 212 HP here. You know, just in case we do run into like opposing Rillabooms, I think having that optimal 192 number is going to be good. I was going for the 3rd EV benchmark here, the 3rd EV bump here at 187, but because I'm getting +1 Electro Shot boost, I want to make it an even number, and I went with 204 instead. All right, and again, if you don't know what EV bumps are and you're new to competitive Pokemon, and if you're trying to learn how to play and you have trouble investing in your EV spreads, that's my phone. Feel free to comment in the video description below asking what are EV bumps, because you need to understand what they are if you want to better understand how to create EV spreads for your teams. All right, so here we are, 3rd EV benchmark here. 187 was the mark, but I went to 188 to optimize the Electro Shot boost. Okay, and then from here, look, I'm getting +1 defense boost. Let's get another even number here with defense. And I have an Assault Vest here, so to optimize the 1.5 boost, I also want an even number there, so I just went like this. Okay, and then I have 68 EVs left. Let's just put it here. You know, 112 will outspeed, you know, stuff like base 100s like a Chiyu after a +1 boost. So let's just speed creep some of those 112s. Let's go to 114. All right, just a little bit of speed. You know, not a whole lot. And this is still going to be good, you know, under Tailwind. So, you know, might as well. All right. Then with the Tornadus, I decided to change things up a little bit. So normally I do like a Bull Tornadus, you know, just to be able to survive some of the Urshifu stuff, of course. And it makes a lot of sense. But I went with Timid this time around, just for this particular team. I still went with this investment, 212, and then 196. Okay, this will still live some of the Urshifu attacks, especially if they're not fully adamant, or if they have a Choice Scarf. You're definitely going to live them anyway, even if they do terrestrialize. So I figured, yeah, why not? And I did see on Pikalytics that the Choice Scarf set was the more popular item as opposed to the Mystic Water item. All right, now that may change as the format progresses, but as of today, I was calcing instead for the Choice Scarf survival as opposed to Mystic Water survival. So I decided to go Timid, go a little bit faster, a little bit of Spadef. Let's go 84 here, and 156 is important. So this way, after Tailwind, we can outspeed the Ogerpon. I'm sorry, the Iron Bundles after their +1 booster energy, right? So if you do a little bit of math there, that you know 155 will get you to 310. The bundle with the booster energy goes to 309. So I wanted to account for that. So I just sped crap and just went to 156. All right. Urshifu here, so I just kept things a little bit more standard. I went with 44 HP investment and 4. This is good enough to survive. Dragonite, Choice Band, E-Speed boosted by Chien-Pao, so I kept it like that. I still, now in terms of like speed, I went to 212. Okay, this is gonna outspeed the Choice Scarf Landerses, you know, because they cap at 143 anyway. Now I don't have a Choice Scarf myself. That's okay, you know, but I still have this Tailwind. And if I'm able to knock off the Choice Scarf on the Landers, which I have been able to do in some games, then my Urshifu just naturally outspeeds the Adamant Landers. So I felt like keeping it at 144 was totally fine. And then I just went to 236 over here, just to get the benchmark in the attack stat, and then just a little bit in special defense. Now, can you have a bulkier Urshifu than this? Absolutely. You can do something like this, you know, drop it to like 76, and then just invest a little bit more into, you know, like maybe you can do something like this, and then just put more into your Spadef, something like this. You can totally do that. But at the time, you know, when I was first testing out a squad, you know, I was still going for a little bit more offense. This was totally fine. It was sufficient for what we wanted to do with it. All right. Flutter Mane, like I said, I wanted to keep this bulk just to survive the Chien-Pao Adamant stuff. So I still went to like 36 speed here. So I went to 176 and then 156 special attack. So a little bit one under. So I'm getting the speed boost, which is going to help me outspeed some of those Roaring Moons. especially if they are not speed nature. Okay, so that helped me out. And even if they were, I do have a Tornadus with Tailwind on my side, so that's going to help me even more. But yeah, I went with speed boosting Flutter Mane. Again, you know, just helping me in some of the mirror matches, you know, in some of the other Flutter Mane games. If you prefer to go modest, you can definitely go modest. If you prefer to go choice specs, you can definitely go choice specs. But then you only have like 2 protects on the team, and I didn't really want that. So I decided to go with the booster here just for the sake of it. All right. Here we are. Incineroar. So I went with Careful Nature just because of Landorus Incarnate, man. This thing, Landorus Incarnate, is so strong. It's able to like really put a stranglehold on the Incineroar. So I went with Careful Nature to be able to survive that. I went to the benchmark here. I think this was correct. And then just a little bit of speed, maybe potentially winning the speed tie war. So I just went with 12 speed. And then I just went the rest, you know, just into defense. And that's all there is to it with our Incineroar for now. You know, very basic starting spread here. Again, just hitting that EV bump here in the special defense with Careful Nature, and then just dumping the rest into physical defense. All right. And you don't need attack, right? Incineroar is just mainly a pivot Pokemon to be able to cycle in and out with those fake outs and those parting shots, neutralizing the opponent, weakening them. So this way, stuff like Archaludon and Flutter Mane could potentially sweep teams, right? Amoongus here, I used a very basic relax set that we've always been using on the channel since 2019. All right, basically 219 HP. Okay, this is gonna optimize for your regenerator. You get a perfect 73 recovery when you switch it in and out. Let's hit the EV bump here with 156 investment. Where is that? Right here. Okay, there's the benchmark, and then the rest just goes into Spadef, you know, and let's go 0 speed just because of the Trick Room games, right? And that's really it. You know, I just started with something that was like very, very basic and very, very simple. Something that was, of course, solid, standard, and consistent. And then from here, you know, it was just time to roll and start showcasing off the Archaludon a little bit, see how it was. So what we're going to do now is we're going to showcase just a couple quick games on the Regulation F ladder just to see and show you how to use the team a little bit. And then from there, we'll get you guys out of here. All right, so let's take a look at some games. So this guy's running a 5-mon team. He's just testing stuff just like us. So he's got Dragonite, Chien-Pao, and Incin. Then he's got Porygon and then Primarina. So he doesn't have a 6th slot here. I feel like you should just throw something in there like Amoongus if you're going to do this. Like, I never like just testing with like 4 or 5 mons. Like, at least fill it in, right? So, you know, I still wanted to lead like Tornadus Urshifu just because like it does well into a lot of different things just because he has a Chien-Pao, a Porygon, and an Incin. I feel like Urshifu does well into a lot of those things, and he's almost forced to either bring like Dragonite or Primarina, which is totally fine because we have Archaludon and Flutter Mane that can take care of pretty much the rest of these Pokemon, right? So basically, that's how I thought processed it. So I went with Tornadus and Urshifu from the beginning, and he went with Primarina and the Chien-Pao. So good lead from him, but not good enough. So he went into the P2 probably scared of the Urshifu, and probably wanting to rely a little bit on the Primarina to deal with the Urshifu. But Surging Strike just does so much damage with Mystic Water, you know, into the Porygon slot here. Hyper Voice, a lot of damage, but not enough to kill the Tornadus, which is good for me. Now, after this Bleakwind Storm, maybe I probably could have went into the Primarina, but I wasn't confident that Surging Strike was going to be able to kill it. Just because I didn't quite know the calc at the time, but so I just decided to just deal some damage to get rid of the P2. All right, so no Tailwind for me, but that's okay. The Primarina is chipped. I am able to get in the Archaludon and try and utilize this rain here. So I just wanted to preserve the Urshifu first, right? So I would go with Terra Ghost Archaludon just in case he wanted to click Sacred Sword as opposed to clicking Sucker Punch on the Ursh. I wanted to cover, and I wanted to get rid of the Primarina, which is exactly what I did. Okay, so now we got rid of 2 mons, and now the Chien-Pao, he actually used the Stellar Pokemon. So, fake out into Ursh is obvious. He can't fake out my Archaludon, so I went into Flutter Mane here just to like try and get some positioning here, which is exactly what he did. He went with Sucker Punch, which I'm surprised I live. I thought I would have died, right? I should have died, but I ended up living anyway. So, here we go, Electro Shot, just dealing the Chien-Pao down to Sash, right? And now it's just easy, right? Because now, you know, you're forced to protect, you deal some damage into Incin, and then this is +2 Electro Shot, which probably KOs the Incin, but I wasn't sure. But again, any kind of damage was fine at that point, because again, I still have the Ursh in the back, so I could have just Aqua Jetted something, or just clicked Surging Strikes into the Incin if it lived, right? But other than that, like, Archaludon was pretty good in doing what it had to do, right? And Tornadus, you know, setting the rain was important for it. Okay, this one was an interesting team, right? He's got the Galarian Articuno, and he has the Gojing Fire. And so basically a lot of physical mons that don't want to be intimidated, right? But that's also why he has the Galarian Articuno. But that's okay. If I'm able to position my Incin properly, it's still totally fine. And what can the Galarian Articuno do to Incin with psychic moves? Not really a whole lot. So I feel like bringing Incin in the back was still like totally fine. But other than that, I still wanted to put pressure on what he had. So I felt like Flutter Mane was really good as a lead here with Tornadus. There's the Roaring Moon and there is the Iron Hand. So this is actually pretty fine. And he's forced to Terra one of these if he wants to live. I thought he would Terra the Moon. So I wanted to like scout him out and see what he would do. So I just wanted to set up Tailwind first. And there's the knockoff, which didn't make sense because you saw I went for Photosynthesis here. So I already used the booster energy. All right, but I lived the Wild Charge, which is great news. You know, bulky Tornadus was the play. Rain Dance was good, so that's going to set up the Archaludon. He Terra'd the Iron Hands as opposed to the Roaring Moon. So that was interesting there. Okay, and I thought he would go for his own Tailwind, but he's not. And I know he has it because we clicked open sheets. But here's the Archaludon coming in. And all I really wanted to do was just remove the Iron Hands. And I'm surprised that the Iron Hands didn't fall to the Electro Shot here. So I guess I just barely misjudged that calc, but that's okay. All right, still one more turn of Tailwind. He's going to reposition. He doesn't want the Roaring Moon to die just yet. There's a crit on the Goldango. We remove the Iron Hands. Another Electro Shot coming in. So there it is. Okay, now we're +2. Okay, and we still have a couple more turns of rain. Here's the Roaring Moon. Flutter Mane has the speed boost, so we can always click this Moonblast, and it's always safe just because. And even though this Goldango protects, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because we can just kill it next turn, and we still get the Electro Shot boost, right? So now he's in trouble. Here's the Gouging Fire, but we have Incin in the back, so this is still fine. Any kind of chip damage is good. So even if I lose the Flutter Mane here, it's totally fine. Okay, and Gouging Moon doesn't really have a whole lot to deal with, especially after I have a +1 defense boost. There's a Dragon Dance, but Incin just takes care of that, and he already knew that, and I just got for the Goldango kill immediately. All right, and now Incin Archaludon just wins the game in the back, and he didn't even want to deal with this, so he clicked forfeit. Okay, so here we go, Sand, right? Excadrill is back. People are definitely going to be trying it. Now, the problem here is that this is too weak to Urshifu. I do agree that Excadrill, Tyranitar, and the Ogerpon Wellspring is correct just because you have to have a way to deal with the Urshifu. I think that's correct, and I think Incin also makes sense here, technically speaking, but this is also too much ground weakness. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 ground weaknesses and a lot of weaknesses to Urshifu. Like, Landorus Eye kind of runs through unless one of these things has Ice Beam. So what I would do here is I would actually put Landorus on a team like this, technically, right? Just to give a little bit more ground immunity. But yeah, this is I don't know if this is it, man. So, you know, I do agree with Tyranitar, Excadrill, Incin, but I don't think that's enough. I think Incin and, like, with what I have, I think Incin and Urshifu kind of just bodies a lot of this stuff. So, you know, I think I was relatively okay here. So here we go, Urshifu. All right, here's the Incineroar. All right, there's the Goldango, and there is the Porygon, right? So I have Fake Out, Surging Strikes Pressure here. That's totally fine. But he goes into the Ogerpon thinking that exact thing. So I wanted to target the Goldango here, and Terra Dragon was correct, right? So we forced out that Terrestrialization immediately. So that means no Terrestrialization for, you know, the Sandboys in the back, which is totally fine. All right, we do click Knockoff there. So we remove the Goldango leftovers. And just in case he wanted to go for Ivy Cudgel, we covered with the Terra Poison. Now, he did go for Follow Me, kind of forced just so that he could protect the Goldango. I do lose the Ursh, so this is a good play by him. All right, and at the very least, I compensate a little bit by removing the Ogerpon, right? So here comes Tornadus. So now what I have to do is just try and enable the Archaludon, you know, for the end game. He protects with Goldango, very good protect, by the way. And, you know, I do click Tailwind, you know, just so that I can have a faster Incin in that sense. But, you know, I thought he was going to go for Trick Room. He did not. All right. The Goldango actually lives. So I was actually a little bit surprised about that. I didn't think it would live. I thought Throat Chop would be enough there. It was not. So now Archaludon's kind of stuck here somewhat, but not really because I still have a fighting move here, which is exactly what I'm going to go for. All right. And the Porygon is taunted. I do click Parting Shot on it, so that's okay. And that allows me to at least have some damage reduction against that Tri-Attack. Okay, and here we go. Body press into the T-Tar. All right, and knock off again into the T-Tar. I probably could have even Parting Shotted that, but Incin does still live, right? And I think in the grand scheme of things, if I Parting Shotted the Tyranitar, I probably could have lived, you know, that second Tri-Attack and then still have Incin for another turn. But he goes back into Goldango here. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because, again, Archaludon can kind of 3v1 here. He clicks Trick Room, but that means the physical mon is going first, which means my stamina boosts are gonna be active, right? And there it is. Look, he's trying to do damage. It's not working for him. So now we just remove the Tyrannosaur. That's the main damage dealer. And now I have +2 body presses against this P2. And, you know, the Sand Chip is helping me out here. Like, there's Recover. That's still fine. But here we go. Look at how much body press is doing. It's doing over 50%. So he's not going to be able to live this. All I have to do is just keep damaging him until the Trick Room expires. And that's really it. Like, he's doing all of this. But, you know, this just favors me. Because if I get a crit, the game is over anyway. But now that Trick Room ends, now he has nothing, so I just click body press for the second time, and we just end P2. So this is the value of having like special attacking Archaludon with body press, right? Like you get these defense boosts, so even if you're taking physical damage, the body presses are just KOing left and right here. And that's why Archaludon, I feel like, is going to be a good mon this format. All right, so here's the Pokepaste one last time. And again, this is a nice, good starting point. You know, you have very solid, consistent options here. You know, feel free to adjust some of these EV spreads the way you deem fit. But I felt like some of our starting spreads was okay, you know, given the format where we are right now. Again, the Archaludon very strong in terms of like dealing good damage, you know, and again, the benefit of having Tornadus here is enabling it with Rain Dance. Incineroar just helps everything, you know, especially with like fake out pressure and repositioning with Parting Shot and weakening the opponent. Urshifu just does so much damage, of course, in Rain Dance, like we know. Amoongus is going to come more into some of those Trick Room games, right? But other than that, you know, it's still like okay. Flutter Mane is a great cleaner in the back. You can also lead with it like what we did, especially if it's like Roaring Moon, Iron Hands stuff, right? But overall, or even like Dragonite, Chien-Pao. But overall, I do like having Archaludon on a team like this. And you could always play it in the beginning, or you can always play it in the end game, depending on matchups. But I feel like this is a very good, safe, solid starting 6. Okay, and it's very adaptable to what to however you want to play it. Like you can totally put like Life Orb, Archaludon here with Protect, like Flash Cannon, Electro Shot, Draco Meteor, and then Protect. Like that's totally fine, and then you're getting a little bit more damage out of your Archaludon. I think that's totally solid, right? And then at the same time, you know, if you want to do something like with Pelipper, you could do Archaludon, Pelipper, Amoongus, Iron Hands. Okay, that's already like a good solid 4. Then throw in Incineroar. All right, there's your fire type in there, and then your last slot is just really up for grabs depending on how you want to play it. Or like you could even just put in Urshifu or Goldengo in there for you know, in the grand scheme of things. All right, but that's it. If you need help with regulationF team building, you know, feel free to hit us up with coaching on the channel. A tier 3 team building sub gets you a one-on-one session with me on Discord. Feel free to join the Discord. Okay, but other than that, we've been helping quite a few people so far. Right, it is early in the format, and again, we still don't have that official list, so I'm a little bit hesitant on using like some of these Paradox Pokemon, but we can build around it if that is what you want, okay, and if that is what you request. But other than that, I feel like stuff like Archaludon and then the Fire Water Grass Core with Incineroar, Urshifu, and Amoongus / Rillaboom is always going to be like very solid and consistent. And you know, even like some Regulation E stuff is still going to be like really good right now. But I wanted to at least get something out for regulationF and get you guys going. So here's our first team. All right, we'll be back with another video in the next one, guys. Peace out and have a good one.